Sorry, ladies and gents. Do you mind moving over here to the seat here? I need to keep this seat free. Okay. Okay. Could you guys make sure nobody's sitting here at the front? Okay. Thank you.
Okay, well, I've been fine. Alright, 5 minutes. Come on,
All right.
You all ready?
Alright, you guys ready? Alright.
We're live in 3, 2. Court in 5 minutes. I need to get my evidence. Yes,
I can't talk right now. I'll call it a little bit, alright? I'll call you back.
This is case number 732282. The Crown versus Michael Raymond Patterson. Are both sides ready to begin?
Ready, Your Honour.
Ready for the defence, Your Honour.
Will the clerk please swear the room in?
The jury of please stand and raise their right hand. Do you solemnly swear to fairly try before this court and come back with a true verdict, according to the evidence and instructions of the court, so help you God?
We do.
Does the defendant solemnly swear to tell truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please be seated.
Court is now in session. May both teams please give their opening statements.
Your Honour, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, the defendant Michael Raymond Patterson has been charged with the crime of abduction, and as we will argue, of the murder of one Adam Smith. Adam was a young, happy-go-lucky chap, well-liked by his friends and adored by his family.
Adam Smith was reported missing on the 14th of February 2008 and was last seen by his friends Mark Owens and Kathy McBride leaving White Ashes Woods at 5:45 p.m. after having spent some time there with them.
The Crown believes that Adam Smith's disappearance is directly linked to the defendant, and we will argue that he alone abducted Adam, abused him for his sordid gratification, then disposed of his body.
Objection, Your Honour. Unless the body is recovered, no murder charges can be filed.
While this may challenge the common belief of the no body, no murder law, we can prove that the fact of death can be proved by clear circumstantial evidence, which will lead to the conclusion that the defendant murdered Adam Smith for his own perverted satisfaction.
Your Honour, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, may I remind you that under law, my client is innocent until proven guilty, not the other way around, which the prosecution is suggesting today. During this trial, you will hear no real evidence and will realize the truth, that my client is not guilty, and we will show this due to errors made in the laboratory where cross-contamination occurred with the samples that were taken.
The defense will argue that not only does no body in fact mean no murder, but we will highlight the enormous errors made in policing methods, in particular the misplaced belief that DNA evidence is absolute.
Your Honour, the prosecution will show that the DNA samples found on the jumper matches perfectly with those of the accused. Your Honour, we will be challenging the defence's position of the fallibility of DNA evidence.
Your Honour, after extraction, quantification, amplification, data analysis, quality assurance, and statistical analysis, it can be shown that the minute fragments of DNA recovered at the crime scene by the multiplex systems are of such an insufficient quantity that an accurate and genuine identification is not possible.
Objection, Your Honour. Although there was not a large DNA sample collected, there was still DNA recovered, which cannot be excluded. There is enough credible evidence to convict.
Objection! The prosecution has not produced one iota of credible evidence. It has even been been proven that 99.9% of DNA is the same in every single person. So is a misidentification not the slightest bit possible, Your Honour? In fact...
Objection, Your Honour. The prosecution has produced credible evidence, and we will show
In
that...
fact, Your Honour, after thorough forensic examination, we can conclude that the DNA evidence is irrefutable.
When has DNA ever been wrong?
Your Honour, the only evidence that has been found was one old torn-up jumper, which was contaminated with other traces of DNA, namely those of a canine and likely the dog's owner. We believe this is a possible scenario, as we believe the jumper was picked up by the dog on its run through its park and left purely by coincidence, near where Anna Smith's blood was found.
The sweater was indeed found in the woods, but with the accused's DNA smothered all over it.
Your Honour, let me repeat. We also believe the jumper was handled by the dog's owner, and we can prove this through clear DNA analysis.
Your Honour, we have reason to believe that the conditions of the laboratory where the evidence was processed in were unsanitary and very unprofessionally kept, which could have led to much contamination.
Do you have the evidence for the Anna Smith case?
Give me a second while I finish this burger, yeah?
Because the lab was in such terrible conditions, we can conclude that the evidence for this case and so many other cases are inadmissible.
Your Honour, the opposing counsel have not provided a speck of proof of this atrocious allegation. Our CSI is one of the best in the country, and always complete the task put in front of them with the utmost professionalism. Your Honour, this allegation is nothing but hearsay.
I got it!
Oh, God, it's alright, it's alright.
This is circumstantial evidence, Your Honour, completely insufficient for the defendant's
The
conviction.
defendant is 100% innocent of any involvement in the disappearance of Adam Smith.
The Crown will show that the defendant is indeed guilty. There is compelling evidence to convict. Your Honour, no DNA analysing can credibly detect the minuscule particles left on the jumper, supposedly, to come up with a credible conviction.
Further to my colleague's point, Your Honour, we only have to look to the numerous recent trials, such as the Amanda Knox case in Perugia, Italy, where a minuscule amount of DNA was used to convict.
Are we not also questioning the method of police investigation of the boot trail left close to where Anna Smith's blood was found?
Are we seriously going to question the police method of investigation? Your Honour, we are 100% certain that the investigative methods used perfectly reflect those of world-class policing of the investigative force.
Officer Redmond, could you please recount the events of your interview with Mr. Patterson?
Of course, but I would just like to say, Your Honour, that our policing methods were nothing less than professional.
Well, yes, we sat Mr. Patterson down gently, eased his worries, told him relax, then offered him a cup of tea.
I object, Your Honour. My client sustained that he was severely brutalised, and the lies now being told is a facade to conceal the monstrous and cruel behaviour conducted by these police officers.
Your Honour, are we really calling into question the behaviour of our admirable police force?
I take great offence at the suggestion being made of our conduct. It is complete and utter nonsense. We can safely assure the jury that our methods were practical and necessary to extract the information we needed.
Under no circumstances did myself or the deputy conduct ourselves in anything less than wholly professional during the course of the 3 days that took place with the interviews with Mr. Patterson.
Mr. Patterson came willingly to the interrogation room. He was greeted in a friendly, amicable manner. We offered him a cup of tea. In fact, he took 2 sugars, not 1. There was no suggestion of anything physical that took place.
We asked him questions to do with the formality, such as his name, age, job, background in terms of where he came from, and where he was before he took the job as a postman.
I myself felt Mr. Patterson was reluctant on giving us more information on the pictures on his walls, but nevertheless we were patient with him.
Ah, yes. Mr. Patterson has told us that the methods of a police investigation were more familiar of police in a third world country.
Overruled. Please continue.
We must also highlight one of the postman's peculiar activities with photography. The defendant has had a history of photographing children in the park without parental consent. Mr. Patterson, returning to the statement you made to the police, saying which, and I quote, watching the children play in the park, feeling their energy and their vitality, always brought me immense pleasure. Could you please elaborate on this conspicuous statement?
It's all right.
No, you don't.
What are you suggesting?
What are you saying?
What do you mean?
It was the joy!
It's happiness!
It was the laughter!
I want my doll! Give me my doll back! I want it back! Give me my doll! I want my
I want to play
doll!
football!
Cricket!
I'll play rounders! Your Honor, I must challenge my colleague's earlier remark of the statement that Mr. Patterson gave to the police. As if the prosecutor continued, the full statement reads, watching the children playing in the park, feeling their vitality and energy, always brought me immense pleasure because
I was so utterly lonely and depressed.
I have lost the love of my life.
I wanted kids and she didn't.
their excitement, their energy, these are things I didn't have. These are things I saw in others. These are the things that I pictured.
Come back into my flat at around 10.
That flat. So empty.
That flat, so empty, so alone.
I hate being in that flat nowadays. Just reminds me of my girlfriend left me.
I'd sit around for hours, just staring at the walls. The empty white walls.
Except, one day, around the springtime, something was different. It was the laughter that got me, I think.
I heard it from a distance.
Children laughing and playing in the park nearby.
Joy, happiness, laughter. These are things I never had.
But I heard it that night. I heard it with them kids.
Next day I thought, why not see it for myself? So I went and I took my camera with me.
Ah, yes, Mr. Patterson. The pictures. The jury and I must consider asking why you thought it was necessary to document such innocent childlike acts.
Well, like you said, Your Honor, they were innocent, harmless pictures. They filled my empty walls with happiness. They filled me with happiness.
Your Honor, please. I'm alone. These pictures give me the happiness my girlfriend couldn't. She wouldn't want children. She didn't want them, she said. Please, Your Honor. These pictures give me the happiness I couldn't have.
These pictures, I finally had them on my wall, making me smile, making me laugh. I knew those pictures wouldn't leave me like Tracy did.
Mr. Patterson! The fact that you obsess over these photographs only reinforces the notion that you are indeed a suspicious man. And we believe you could have been equally as obsessed with the young boy, Adam Smith.
Your Honor, this line of argument is misleading. He merely liked the joy the children radiated. Why must we turn an innocent hobby into something vile, grotesque, and seedy?
As my colleague has stated, the pictures that surfaced from the police investigation are innocent and cannot be construed as explicit images.
If that were so, then why has the postman previously been convicted for stalking? Your Honor, here we have the postman's criminal records which debunk this argument.
Order! Order! I'll have order in my court! Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today with Michael Raymond Patterson, who was convicted for the murder and abduction of Adam Smith. After 6 years of his imprisonment, he's recently been released on the basis of the fallibility of DNA. So welcome, Mr. Patterson. How does it feel like to be a free man outside of prison?
I wish I'd died in that prison.
Well, can't really get my head around it myself.
To have your whole privacy invaded, to be arrested so brutally like that. Do you believe the police force should be investigated for their uncivilized actions
I
towards
feel like
you?
they should be scrutinized as much as I was.
These 6 years of being labeled guilty, how does one...
They say you're innocent until proven guilty. But what they're really saying is you're guilty until you're proven innocent.
You've agreed to do this interview provided that your face is not seen by the camera. Even though your face has been publicly tarnished by the media for years and years. So why is that?
Well, no offense, but you, the media, you've always made money off my face. So the sooner I can get my face out of it, the sooner I can be happy, the sooner I can go have a normal life.
Well, seems that we have concluded our interview about the miscarriage of justice. Thank you, Mr. Patterson.
BBC News at midnight. This is Brian Fulton. The convicted child murderer Michael Raymond Patterson, who was recently released after having his 15-year sentence overturned due to irregularities with the DNA evidence used to convict him, has been found hanging from a tree in the same park where his supposed victim, Adam Smith, had been abducted 5 years ago. A police spokesperson said this afternoon that they are not looking for any suspects and believe that Mr. Patterson took his own life. In other news,